welcome back to another episode of Getting Close Up, the show focused on independent artists and creatives. And if you're a supporter and you know it, click the like button, make sure you subscribe, and ding the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. My guest with me is bet everything on his talents and is now cashing in on living his dream, on his way to being a media mogul. Today, we are getting close up with Michael Drone of FN Scene Productions. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm so glad to have you here. You're looking all dapper. Got it together.
Happy to be here. Picked this outfit out specifically for here.
Oh, that makes me feel special. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the gray might clash with the brown shoes, but I feel like brown goes with everything. Like
brown
black
does go with everything.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell people. They've been telling me it has to be black, but I feel like, brown completes the outfit.
No, the thing that goes together, you got to make sure whatever color your shoes are, your belt is.
Yep.
So that's what
brown.
Exactly. Anything else doesn't matter. It looks great.
Yeah.
You did
Appreciate
awesome.
it. Thank you.
Now, you are and I'm going to look at my notes to make sure I get everything together here, okay? Mm-hmm. Photographer, videographer, director, producer, editor, and maybe 11 other things.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's just it. Yeah.
I want to go back to kind of like your origin story a little bit.
Origin story, okay.
Yeah, let's do a little origin story work here. Thinking back, what were some of your first creative inspirations?
Definitely movies. I grew up watching a lot of movies like a lot of people. Remember my dad owned a VCR player, and we had a bunch of VHS tapes, so I would watch a bunch of old VHS movies, even though at the time we had DVD. I was always one generation behind.
So you had, I was going to say, because I know you're quite a bit younger than me.
Yeah.
So you had DVDs, but you chose to watch the VHS.
Well, that's all my dad had.
Oh, that's what he had.
Yeah. So this was probably early 2000s. I was born in 96. I was born in 96. I was old enough to know how to pop a, tape in. And I grew up watching a bunch of Jim Carrey movies, Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber. What was that Yes Man movie he did? The Mask.
I literally just had conversation about Jim Carrey movies with my friend group.
Yeah, it defined my childhood. But also Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and the one he did, The Truman Show. And those two stuck out to me especially. The way they were written. And I became, I've seen those movies so many times. I became inspired, to tell stories, in a different way, because most of the movies we consume as kids are simplified, they're for kids.
Very much so.
I'm a kid watching Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which was, I think it was produced by one of my favorite director. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Charlie. I'm
terrible with names.
It's not coming up. Yeah, but the way he, writes movies is very non-linear.
Yeah, and that's a good descriptor for that way that movie story is being told as well.
Exactly. So I became very inspired just to tell stories. I began with, I used to draw in class all the time. The teacher would have to take my drawings away, just like my dad. I guess I got that from him. But I make comic books, and I write short stories, as a kid. I grew up, and I knew I always wanted to create stories, whether I was a manga creator or a comic book creator or a movie director, whatever it may be. I just know I want to tell stories.
So you DC or Marvel? Other? I'm
kind of both, honestly.
Both?
Batman kind of already makes DC top, but Marvel has a lot of great characters, of course, everyone from X-Men, Spider-Man, and Hawk, and everyone in the Avengers and all that. But, I kind of feel like Batman kind of 1v, everybody at that point. I'm a big Batman
legit,
fan.
He's got a contingency plan for everybody. So
yeah, I feel like without Batman, Marvel would take the cake, but he's just at the top for me. His storytelling. So
correct answer. The answer is very correct.
Yeah.
I accept it. I'm a huge Batman fan as well, so I accept that answer. And I see that a lot when I look at your work, especially in your music videos and stuff. You put a lot of elements in that call back to animation. And real dynamic in that way. In very animated comic book style. Yeah, I see that a lot in your work, so that makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I actually took animation in college. I went to Mo West. I was there for about a semester. Before that, I went to Penn Valley for 2 semesters and realized college isn't for me. It's too expensive, And it's ultimately, and I was trying to do a fraternity at the same time. Got distracted.
That's a lot.
And I'm broke in college. $20 to my name. I'm good. So
Yeah.
I did about a semester of animation. I didn't take any actual animation classes, but I was interested in 2D animation. Now I'm actually learning 3D animation through Blender. So, everything that I wanted in the past is finally coming back.
Right, it's coming back to
as
in your
well.
own time
Yeah.
and probably for a whole lot less money.
Yeah, definitely. So, it's full circle at this point. But yeah, I wanted to be an animator until I realized how much animators make outside of like the major companies and how they, they're overworked. And I was like,
And how the outsourcing basically just animation farms
exactly
in Korea and other Asian
and
countries.
All they do is draw frames for 2D, and 2D is really outphased now. It's more 3D animation. So I was like, why not, as a video creator now, learn 3D animation like Blender or Unreal Engine or anything like that. And I can just animate myself. So I'm actually working on a music video now that uses animation. So I guess it's like my return to, because I used to create the little 2D animations that you draw. I had a graphic tablet and all that. So
for some reason, I feel like just looking at your work again, that I saw that, you know what, he's cycling back into animation.
Especially in the beginning. Like I was 15 hours on one music video. I made $75 off of. Like I was really... Yeah, I was working for less than minimum wage.
But that's the story of people with that type of design mind. Like, you spend forever on something.
Exactly. When I started my company, it was as a technician. I realized I had to be more business-minded because, there's like 3 different, of course you have the CEO, which is executive, and that's the more business-minded. CFO is more financial, and CTO is more technical. So I was playing a technical role, but I needed to, of course, if I'm building a business, also get into the financial and marketing side of it as well. So I took kind of step back from the creative video making, even though I still hold my edits to a certain standard.
Right.
And I am working with an editor now, so I'm, trying to get him to where I am as far as how I like my videos to look. But I don't think I'm going as creative when it comes to projects. Maybe I'm just not taking enough music videos. But definitely when I create my own movie, dip my toe back into the creative, part.
Right.
Less into the corporate.
I can see that definitely leaning more into filmmaking.
Yeah.
Now, in talking about your education, you described yourself as a student of YouTube University.
Yeah.
And I find that it's so cool to me because there's so many people that I talk to, so many other creatives, especially people who started around the pandemic.
Yeah,
like
that's what I said.
Really, very much so learned a lot of the things that they did online.
Yeah.
So tell me about the difference between your experience in college trying to learn that stuff and doing it yourself online.
Well, in college, what is it, 2 years of general education? I took animation, and for some reason I was taking math classes. And I'm terrible at math.
Same.
So, yeah, I'm like thinking that, okay, they'll just bust out the graphic tablets. I'm like...
I got a lot of good drawing done in math class.
Yeah. So, me too. Yeah, me too. But ultimately, I realized I didn't want to have to go through, what was it? I don't know, college algebra, calculus 1, just to...
it just escalates. It gets worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Progressively. As you get closer to what it is you want to do, the other classes get worse.
Exactly. And I'm taking, animation at Missouri Western. It's like, they're not known for that.
Right.
And I don't know if they're known for anything. So, not to send any shots at them, but ultimately I was like, I feel like that's like getting a business degree from, I don't know.
But what you're saying is it didn't feel like a fit. It didn't feel like it was geared towards what it was we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And part of that is the cash grab, but that's a whole other conversation that we could spend hours on.
Yeah. So
what was the big difference in learning it on your own, and like how did you structure time for yourself to learn all that?
Yeah, so at the time I was working 9 to 5. I was working for Spectrum Mobile, actually. I was working in a call center. And, I was working 5, sometimes 6 days a week. And I was working a night shift. So the night shift allowed, because it was fewer people calling in, allowed me to have a little time to study. So once I wake up sometime in the evening, probably 5 p.m. My sleep schedule was terrible. And, I would kind of enjoy the little freedom I had before I had to hop on the phone. But luckily, again, I'm taking anywhere between 10 to 20 calls on average. So in between that time, I'm watching YouTube videos. This is during the pandemic. So ultimately, I was able to work at home, thankfully. So exactly. In the office, I'd never be able to get away with this.
No, it never would have happened.
Yeah. So I would turn on TV, and watch YouTube tutorials. And the job was, I didn't like the job to such an extent that I knew I had to create an escape plan. I knew I could not just go get another job, because I actually started in the call center because I was doing IT at the time. Like I built my own computer, built my own media server where I would like host movies. I wanted to try IT, but I knew I needed, phone experience. But I ultimately realized there's no job I think that I would ever be able to work that I would really enjoy personally.
He's like, I've seen what's out here. I don't like it. Close the door.
And I've met people in IT. I work with people in IT while working for the call center, and they seem just as miserable as me. So, yeah.
I mean, I know that story. I've worked in a call center before too.
Terrible.
That life is a tough life.
It is. I took almost 10,000 calls by the time I quit. But luckily, and this is the pandemic, so I got to stay at home. So I'm saving money on transportation. I'm saving time, commuting. So I'm calculating all this up into, my study time. And ultimately, I managed to save somewhere around 7 to 8K, over about a year and a half. Yeah, and I think I wasn't making, there was a pay boost, but I wasn't making a crazy amount of money. But I still managed to save up that. And I quit my job in October of 2021, with all the knowledge I had built up. And this is with like an apartment, for rent.
Right.
So at the time I got to worry about, whatever bills I've accumulated, but I try to cut everything I can, subscription-wise, all this stuff, so I can make my money stretch while I try to build this business plan.
You have to be very intentional.
Yeah, very intentional. So I built a whole plan out about how I'm going to do this and do that. And ultimately, I realized, my first actual paid gig was a music video. I realized that maybe I could start music videos and build from there. And that's what ultimately ended up happening.
And it's important that you talked about how you said, look, I don't like the way this is going. Yeah. As far as working a regular 9 to 5, this version of adulting absolutely sucks.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure something else out. And you literally started a plan, being intentional with your finances, putting money away and saying, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet, but I know it's going to be in this direction and I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
But that is such a scary thing, though.
It is.
It is a lot of creatives on that precipice, trying to figure out how do I figure out when to take that leap and just say, forget it, I'm going 100% towards this.
Yeah. And, well, for me, I feel like building safety that I had, of course, ended up going super quick. I'm just burning through it. But luckily, so I quit in October, got my first paid gig in January. So by the time January hit, I was living pretty comfortable. I'm still living off this. I'm, paying the rent that I'm paying. And this is, 2021 to 2022. So, yeah, I'm living pretty comfortable at the time. But I know I don't want to ever go back to a job. So I know I have to start making money, or eventually around March or April, I'll be looking for a job.
It's do or die.
Yes, exactly. So I booked my first client. It's actually crazy because I booked him a day after I published the first video I ever did, which was free. It was for a friend of a friend. So, I have a friend. He was part of my company originally. Since then, we still collaborate on a few projects, but, ultimately I'm the only one that's currently working on FNC Productions at the moment. And or my actual LLC is Micro Drone Productions, but FNC Productions is like my production.
It's a collective.
It's a collective. Yeah, it's a collective. But so did a video for a friend of a friend. The video came out great, and posted that video everywhere I could, YouTube, Instagram, even Twitter at the time, and basically just try to cement myself as much as I can in the industry with that one free video, because I remember no one would give me a shot. And I would be, when someone asks, well, can I see your work? You got to trust me, you know what I mean? But it's hard to get that. So now I have my first piece of actual work. So I just randomly met this dude. I ordered Walmart groceries, right? And met this dude, and he was kind of nosy, peeking in my apartment, and he saw I had camera equipment. And yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Exactly. And he was like, you shoot music videos? And I was like, yeah, actually, And, I got his Facebook. And as soon as I published the video, he was, hesitant at first. But he saw that first video, and he booked me the day after it was published.
That's wild.
Yep. Paid his deposit. I went up to, it turned out, he had a place that was right up the street from mine. Went up there, shot the music video, completed it, edited, put the second one out like a week later.
That's crazy. Yeah. That just came together. Like,
yeah,
the guy dropping off your groceries.
Yeah.
Scoping you out And in your head, you're like, okay, this
Man.
could go one or two ways.
Yeah.
But he's like, offers you another gig.
Yeah. I didn't take him seriously, but he was serious. Yeah. Yeah, so
once you pay that deposit, you serious.
Oh yeah, once you pay,
that's why you gotta. It's important to get deposits.
Exactly, 100%. Because I don't even move without a deposit and I've made that mistake before in my actual time. You
learn that.
Yeah, people will do you wrong, and you'll show up, hey, nowhere to be found.
And it happens.
Yeah.
But so that leads into my next question about marketing yourself, because you have a really interesting way of going about clientele. You're kind of, it feels like you're looking at people and places that are kind of underserved or maybe not really looked at, organizations, nonprofits, other independent creatives and things like that.
Yeah.
Just different, you're finding work in spots where it's just people don't really pay attention to that, events and things like that. So talk to me a little bit about how you go after clients and how you market yourself.
Definitely. So my first music video not only landed me my first paid client, it landed me in my first nonprofit. So I managed to reconnect with someone I knew in college. He went to Mo West as well for that one semester, joined the same fraternity. All this is kind of like, it was almost his destiny, right? But so I knew he was involved in the creative industry here in Kansas City. I've seen him post things and, he made music. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to send him the video, So he saw the video and he became really inspired and wanted to help me on music videos. So at the time I was desperate for any type of video content. Let me record, I don't know, anything. You know what I mean? Let me record you just getting ready for work. I don't know. Just whatever I could to create that portfolio. And he knew a guy who had a nonprofit that he started, can't name the nonprofit, unfortunately. But if you take deep within my website, you might find it. Yeah, but basically it's a nonprofit based around preventing people from going back to prison.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a big nonprofit actually. It's based here in Kansas City. It's been featured on KCTV5. It's been featured on,
Yeah,
he spoke many big events.
That's a big deal.
Big deal.
Very big deal.
So this was before he really started getting these gigs back in January of 2022. I met the guy, so he introduced me to him and, we shot a video. And at the time he was being interviewed by, what's his name? The one that owns the Royals, whatever, or manages the Royals. I can't remember his name.
You will never ever see me on anybody's trivia team.
Yeah.
Because I cannot remember names.
Yeah,
but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. So he had me interview and I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. So I shot the video for him, set up the camera, and then he liked my work, and at the time,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I managed to, everything just kind of connected. I met someone who owned a cafe right on Truce, and equal-minded.
Yes.
Yeah, right on
Good
Truce.
Place, great place.
That's where his office was located. And I met Don Tavius, the owner, and, we're still friends. We still work together. So, boom, met him. Then there was another guy on Truce who owned a building, and I met him. And at the time, Jay Dunn was, touring the building to, check it out or whatever to see if they wanted to purchase it. Met him, and through him, I met a lot of people. So, it's really
that
is
whole
networking.
Strip, there's so many new businesses there.
Yeah.
And they're looking for marketing.
Ruby Jeans, The Combine, it's, a lot of black business, is opening up on Truce. So, I met all these people just contact after contact networking. I've just, managed to tap into that industry. So my marketing, back to the original question, was definitely more network and word of mouth focused. And since then, I've built a website and I do a bit of social media marketing. So I have gotten gigs from social media marketing. I have gotten gigs from website visits. I'm still working to promote that. I market other people's companies more successfully than my own, ironically.
No, it's not. It's very common.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how common it is.
Yeah, I've gotten clients, all kinds of new business, just marketing their content, because I do content marketing, strategy and everything. But for my own, it's just, I'm kind of, I'm starting to invest more money into my actual advertisement and, work with search engine optimization to promote my website a bit more on Google search engine or just search engines in general. But
that's very important too.
Very, very important. Very, very. But yeah, so it went from networking, word of mouth, to a bit more online presence. But I still feel my greatest, source of marketing is word of mouth. or
Yeah.
networking. I just have a large network of clients that I've worked with, or people who've been interested, who are ultimately, gonna book me at some point, or at least recommend me to someone. Yeah,
And I see that because, like, even when people
yeah,
talk about the work that you've done for them, they talk
yeah,
about your professionalism and,
yeah,
how they feel represented in the final product. And that is a huge deal. And that
definitely,
adds to it. That just puts more fuel to the fire.
100%.
And so, in leaning into that a little bit more, you mentioned social media marketing.
Hmm?
In the space where I talk to creatives, talk to me a little bit about what you offer that specifically helps content creators and what social media marketing is.
Definitely. So social media marketing is, I guess you could say, a marketing strategy that utilizes social media platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and it's basically a strategy to get as much engagement and attention as you can on your content. The content may be reels or posts or anything like that. So social media content marketing, the thing that I'm, leaning into and have been doing for the last like 6 months, is basically when you create a content strategy on a monthly basis usually, because it's usually at least 3 months minimum before you really start to see positive results. But
3 months.
yeah, usually a
Okay.
3 month commitment to start seeing some real results, because it's almost like you have to convince the algorithm to like start promoting your content, because it does play favorites. So
Yeah,
if
so
you're
we
ticking
heard.
if you're ticking all the boxes, I hear the dog moving around. Yeah, if you're ticking all the boxes that it likes, uploading your content a certain way, using the right hashtags, uploading consistently and at the right time, then it begins to promote you. But there are times where it's like, it kind of hates you and it doesn't even want to put you on. You know what I mean? It's kind of gatekeeping you, right?
And a lot of people get stuck there. Like,
Yeah,
you talk about
they
your
do.
struggle with promoting yourself. A lot of people are
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I'm putting this out here. I'm dedicating a lot of
Yeah.
time. It takes a long time to put together a
It
really
does.
good reel.
Yeah,
And then you put it out there and it's like,
yeah,
it's kind of like dead in the water.
exactly.
So a lot of people get discouraged with that. But, that consistency, and then not just consistency, but knowing the whens, the whys, and the hows
Exactly.
is very important for a lot of people
Yeah.
who are trying to get seen.
Yeah, I was interviewed by, the Keystone Innovation District
Yes.
downtown. Yeah, I was on a stage with 2 other creators at the time, and they asked me the same question. And at the time, I was still formulating it, so now I guess I have a better answer to, what it actually is. Because before I was like, I'm still trying to define that myself.
Right,
You know
trying to
what I mean?
figure it out.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's what I'm personally working on with my own brand of marketing for my company. And marketing is 100% the key to building a successful business. I mean, Starbucks, without its marketing, it would just be a small coffee shop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like now it's a multi-billion-dollar company, all because it's able to, convince customers that it's worth driving out of their way just to get.
It's bean
make
water.
coffee from.
It's hot bean water
That's
with
it.
different flavors. And
Billion
it's a
dollar
lot of other
company.
places that can do the exact same thing.
Exactly.
But if I can convince you that it's better here, or if it's in a better cup and you want to
Yeah.
be seen holding this cup,
Yeah.
you're going to buy it.
Branding and marketing. That's all it is. So I've, leaned into that heavy. I believe that's exactly where I want to take my company, at least on the corporate production side, is content marketing full time. I've hired an editor, so I have an editor now working with me. I realized I was spending too much time editing and ultimately not enough time generating leads. So those things that I've had to do to assess, the amount of time I'm spending working on, because, every month you need new money because you got new bills every month.
You do have new bills. They will show right up.
Exactly. So it's like if my landlord's charging me every month, I can't be paying next month's, rent with last month's money. Because that's something I've done for a while. I was okay, I can still charge extra, trying to make more. It's like, no, I need to, even if I have enough from last month, create a consistent, amount of revenue.
I want you to say that again.
Yeah.
Say what you said about yesterday's money, today's money, and bills. Say that again for me.
Yeah. So the reason why you need to generate new money is because you have new bills every month. Mm-hmm. So you can't pay next month's bills with last month's, work. I guess you can say it like that. Yeah.
You got to keep generating new.
You got to keep generating. Even if you feel you're safe and secure, any emergency can come along and boom, knock you into the red. So you just have to constantly be making. I think I got too comfortable when I hit off a big job where I'm like, I'll kind of drag my feet and edit and kind of slack off. Yeah. Yeah.
think that you have a break now. Like, oh, you know what?
Yeah, it's
I'm
like,
about to
nah,
play this new video game that came out. I'm about to take my moment and chill.
Yeah.
And it's not to say it's, because there's a lot of things, people say a lot of things about grind and hustle culture now and stuff like that. But to have balance. And to understand that if everything's dependent upon you, you're the only one making it go.
Yeah, only one. And for, let me see, maybe a year and a half now, that's been the case, And the only one, making it go. So I'm the one keeping it alive, so I know I have to wake up every day and do something, even if it's just answering emails or sending out emails to clients. But recently I learned that you can actually pay people to like create leads for you. Like online, use a Fiverr, Upwork, you can get someone to create a list of leads with emails and phone numbers.
Really?
Yep. And then you can then I got like over 80 generated for $13. And then you can basically schedule time to just make calls and go down the list.
Just make calls and get it out there.
Yep. There's actually automation tools now where if you send an email, like I use this one named Apollo, you send an email to someone and they don't answer back, it sends you a follow-up email to follow up on that person. Or you can even do an automatic follow-up if the person doesn't reply within 2 to 3 days. So it takes away you having to remember that this person didn't follow up, because I realized that following up is where you close the deal.
That's where you close the deal.
Exactly. And I used to be someone who was like, well, if they don't say anything the first time, second time around, I give up. Right? But I realized that, they say most deals are made between, like, I think 5 to 10 touches, Yeah. So it's just like...
That's why I hated sales.
Yeah.
When I was in it.
And that's the thing. I was working in the billing and technical department, but there was a sales department at Spectrum that I wish I had actually worked for, because I think it would have prepared me better for this.
Oh, you do learn a lot from it. You also teach videography classes. You do that type of stuff. Now, you teaching yourself and then turn around and teaching others.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, like, what is your goal there?
Definitely. So I realized that there was no, there's plenty of photography classes, here in Kansas City. I see a lot for the youth. There's photography, people with photography courses, and photography is a lot easier to learn than videography, especially when you include editing. Mm-hmm. That's a big stepping stone. A lot of people started in iMovie. I personally started in iMovie back when I was playing on, school computers, back in the Kansas City School District. But I had to teach myself how to use more advanced software like Premiere and even DaVinci recently. But I realized there was just nowhere for anyone to learn videography other than YouTube University, which I did graduate from, alma mater, valedictorian.
Valedictorian. I mean, you could call yourself that.
Yeah.
You sure can.
Yeah, so I'm I graduated from there, so I figured, what if I brought what they can't teach you online to Kansas City, which is questions. You can't ask them. Maybe they'll respond to a few questions in the comment section, but for the most part, I always had questions that were very specific that I had to search the web for. I couldn't find it anywhere. And I had to ultimately go out and make mistakes and figure it out myself.
True.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Self-taught, you do have those run-ins yourself. You don't really have anybody to tell you.
Yep.
And I think that's a great vein to learn what you've learned and then come back and try to teach others and to try to pay that forward. Yeah. So what's next for you? What are the next steps? What do you see in your future with this company?
So ultimately what I feel is next for FNC Productions and more specifically Microdrone Productions, LLC, I see it becoming a bigger media company that ultimately has at least, my ideal is at least 3 or 4 editors, 3 or 4 videographers who ultimately go out and shoot videos, or specifically content marketing is where I want to take my company. So they go out and shoot content, which I then market, or I get a marketing team, which they then market. And then the only thing I have to ultimately do at the end of the day is close those deals. So I'm hopping on calls and going to meetings and closing deals. Instead of spending 10, 12 hours editing a wedding, I'm pitching my business, pitching my services, because I feel that's where a CEO should be. Ultimately, when you're the only one, you take on all hats.
You take on all the hats. Yeah. So building a team and reaching forward to the future.
Yep, exactly. And marketing myself, not as a videographer, but as a advertising. I think more of as a marketing advertising company. Because that definitely goes a lot further than just simply shooting videos. Like, I don't shoot videos. I generate new business. For your business.
And I think that's awesome. Like, I love the story. I love seeing what you're doing, and especially you talking about where you plan on taking this in the future. I just see you reaching out and pulling people back in, making a team. And I
Yeah.
think that's dope. I thank you so much for joining me
Thank
today.
you.
I love your story. I love what you're doing. And I can't wait to see what's next for you, honestly.
Thank you for having me.
So tell people where they can find you.
Okay. So you can find me online on my website at fnscene.com, where you have the option of a free consultation call or the option to book my services online. You can also find me on Facebook at FN Scene Productions, Instagram at Michael FN Drone. That's F as in Frank, N as in Nancy, or FN Scene Productions. And I'm also on LinkedIn at just Michael Drone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
All the links that he gave will be down in the description box below. Make sure you check them out. If you had as much fun as we did today, make sure that you like, you comment, and you subscribe so that we can keep bringing it to you. New episodes of Getting Close Up are bi-weekly on Fridays. And next Friday, make sure you check out me and D, where we give you the tea on what's hot and what's not with GCU Reviews. Thanks, guys, for watching. You guys are always the best part of this whole thing. And I'll see you again soon for another Close Up. I'll be checking for you. Bye.